You've got to be careful when the shortcut to Easy Street runs through Noir Alley. As far as endings go, you would be hard-pressed to find one more bluntly symbolic. And that little plot of land where Barney bites the dust was, in fact, an actual housing development being built in L.A. At the time, the sign for Castle Heights Tract Homes was legit, not a prop. In 1954, you could maybe get a nice 3-bedroom place there for $25,000, but today, you'll need $1.5 million just to get a realtor's attention. After watching Barney Nolan's pipe dreams go up in Gunsmoke, let's acknowledge another distinctive aspect of Edmund O'Brien's performances: sweating. He is, hands down, the sweatiest man in noir. And when he combined all that perspiration with the unraveling of his lofty pompadour, nobody looked more desperately disheveled. In Shield for Murder, he may have outsweated his legendarily wet work in DOA. It makes me wonder if he generated all of this on his own, or if he had a personal spritzer on the set, keeping him nice and moist as the plot spiraled out of control. The role of Barney's superior, Captain Gunnarsson, was played by Emil Meyer, who was picked out of a community theater production and handed a Hollywood career. Meyer was working as a longshoreman in his hometown of New Orleans when Fox decided to shoot Panic in the Streets on location there. Director Elia Kazan saw him on stage in a local play and gave him a few lines. And from then on, Meyer worked steadily, playing what writers would call rough-hewn types. Emil Meyer seemed utterly genuine, tossing off a line like, "Write his story good." John Agar also took an interesting route to the movies. In 1945, he married America's sweetheart, Shirley Temple, prompting David O. Selznick to offer him a contract. He and Temple split in 1950, but Agar maintained a career all the way into the 90s. And I'm sure many of you recognize the slinky blonde in the cocktail lounge as Morticia Addams, a.k.a. Carolyn Jones, one of the most distinctive, if underused, actresses of the 1950s. At the time she made this film, Jones was married to Aaron Spelling, who was not yet the massively successful television producer he'd become in the 60s. By the time that happened, he and Carolyn Jones had divorced, which I note only to share the intriguing fact that Jones requested no alimony in the settlement, claiming that she was capable of taking care of herself. Jones certainly was not a femme fatale in real life. Well, now that I've started with the Spot the Future TV star game, I have to mention Claude Akins, who played Fat Michaels. He'd be a small screen fixture for decades. The assistant DA was played by William Shallert, whom my generation knows mainly as Patty Duke's dad on The Patty Duke Show. In an uncredited role as the professor, we had Dick Van Dyke's future boss, Mel Cooley, portrayed by Richard Deacon. Soap opera fans probably recognized John Berardino, who was Dr. Stephen Hardy for many years on General Hospital. Okay, I'm going to quit before I start naming everybody in the cast. Next week, we'll be venturing further out into the Southern California hinterlands for an intriguing example of kid noir. Young Billy Gray stars in Talk About a Stranger, a dark fable from 1952 based on a story by Charlotte Armstrong, one of the era's best writers of mystery and suspense. It co-stars future Republican icons George Murphy and Nancy Davis. But for Noir Alley fans, its most significant contributor is the cameraman, the great John Alton. Be back here in 7 days. And until then, see you in the shadows.